Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear viewers. We welcome you again to our second episode of this holy month of Ramadan, the program which is Steps to Perfection. Inshallah, during this program, as we said yesterday, we will be trying to improve our recitation skills and also will improve our understanding of the Holy Quran as well. We mentioned last session or last episode that inshallah we'll be making a recitation, a short recitation, and also we will be giving some advice which would be useful. Inshallah, it will be useful and you'll find it useful, brothers and sisters. And inshallah, we'll listen to the recitation of our dear brothers, our participants today, and we will give them feedback. Potentially, I would also encourage everyone who is watching us, irrespective of your recitation skills, whether you're advanced or just basic and you just started picking up this beautiful and also very meaningful and spiritual skill, which is to recite the Holy Quran, is that you listen to the feedback that will be given to the brothers and who have our participants who will be reciting inshallah shortly. So we start our recitation inshallah with the first page of the second juzu. On many of the Quran copies it would be page 22. So inshallah, Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah 142. I encourage you to follow with me inshallah so that we will together recite these ayat. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سيقول السفهاء من الناس ما ولاهم عن قبلتهم التي كانوا عليها قل لله المشرق والمغرب يهدي من يشاء إلى صراط مستقيم وكذلك جعلناكم أمة وسطا لتكونوا شهداء على الناس وكذلك جعلناكم أمة وسطا لتكونوا شهداء على الناس ويكون الرسول عليكم شهيدا وما جعلنا القبلة التي كنت عليها إلا لنعلم من يتبع الرسول ممن ينقلب على عقبيه وإن كانت لكبيرة إلا على الذين هدى الله وما كان الله ليضيع إيمانكم إن الله بالناس لرؤوف رحيم قد نرى تقلب وجهك في السماء فلنولينك قبلة ترضاها فول وجهك شطر المسجد الحرام وحيثما كنتم فولوا وجوهكم شطره وإن الذين أوتوا الكتاب ليعلمون أنه الحق من ربهم وما الله بغافل عما يعملون ولئن أتيت الذين أوتوا الكتاب بكل آية ما تبعوا قبلتك وما أنت بتابع قبلتهم وما بعضهم بتابع قبلة بعض ولئن اتبعت أهواءهم من بعد ما جاءك من العلم إنك إذا لمن الظالمين صدق الله العلي العظيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم last session, we mentioned that there are a few tips which would be useful to everyone. One, we said that it would be strongly recommended, encouraged, and very useful spiritually to have wudu before recitation of Quran. Also, as the hadith says, is that we need to make sure that we recite Quran with a mouth which is clean. And thirdly, that when we recite Quran, we use a copy for ourselves. So we say, this is my copy of the Holy Quran, so that it helps my brain and my eyes get used to it. If every time, especially for those who have just started or those who are still developing their skills of the Quran recitation, your familiarity with the colors and with the words and with the size of the text is very, very important. So if you pick up like a copy every time that you want to recite Quran, it will add a little bit. I don't say it's like it won't make it impossible to read, of course, but that extra energy and that extra dedication and focus from your brain and your eyes and your attention could be preserved and saved if you use the same copy with the same text, with a comfortable size text, and with the same wording and calligraphy. Also, we said that for Quran recitation, it is immensely, I cannot stress this enough, dear brothers and sisters who are watching us live through Ahlul Bayt TV, and inshallah you'll be watching us through the recordings later on, is that it is immensely helpful and useful to improve your Quran recitation if you have a Quran reciter, an experienced expert Quran reciter, which could be found on apps or YouTube or websites, that you read with the Quran reciter. Because sometimes when you read, you may not necessarily think that you've made a mistake, but sometimes your eyes read the words unlike how the words are actually written. So immensely useful to have a Quran reciter in the background and you follow with them. These tips and advice is almost irrespective of how experienced, and you could be an expert in Quran recitation. In fact, these tips are things which I have heard myself from expert Quran recitation. My teacher in Iran, Ahmed al-Dabbagh, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless him and give him a long life. Ustad Ahmed Amir, when he came, and a very well-known Egyptian reciter when he came over here to London on a number of occasions, and other reciters that we've picked up these tips from. Today, I would like to mention another point which would be extremely useful, which we touched on it last session, but we'll elaborate on it. In order for us to, hadith says, inna fihi halawa. The hadith narrated by Amir al-Mu'mineen says that Quran has a sweetness. ظاهره أنيق وباطنه عميق. It's a beautiful, its outer form is beautiful, and its meanings and internal meanings are very deep and very thorough. So but many people would say, but I don't feel that sweetness. I don't necessarily feel that level of sweetness and beauty when I'm reciting Quran. Partly because your brain is too busy trying to read the letters, which you may not have, spend a lot of time to make your eyes comfortable with reading. And also the other reason sometimes is because we recite Quran. I say about myself, sometimes we recite Quran and trying to get the counting as quickly as possible. How many ayat, which is good in itself. In fact, hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in his sermon about the month of Ramadan, he says, وَتِلَاوَةُ آيَةٍ وَمَنْ تَلَى آيَةً كَمَنْ تَلَى القرآن كله أو كمن ختم القرآن في غيره. يعني reciting one ayah during the month of Ramadan is like reciting the entire Quran, doing a full khatma, a complete khatma of the Quran in other months. So of course it's a great thing to recite as many ayat as you wish, but let's balance it. Recite as many ayat, perfect, great, but also let us try to pick up this gradually, just like picking up a new language. If someone wants to learn Japanese, a language which is meant to be difficult, or Chinese, or Spanish, or Italian, or any other, or Arabic, of course, is that let us start bit by bit. So we start understanding, one, through reading respected, you know, well translated copies in English. So that's very helpful because not every translation is good. I would say get feedback from those who read Quran and who have some good translations. So look at really good quality translation of the Holy Quran. And also, I strongly recommend the tafsir. Many people would say, yes, I know tafsir al-Mizan. Tafsir al-Mizan is amazing, but tafsir al-Mizan is somewhat an expert tafsir. So the tafsir that I strongly recommend to people are the more basic ones. And the one that I benefited a lot from is tafsir al-Amthal or tafsir al-Numuneh or the exemplary tafsir by Ayatollah Makarim Nasser Makarim Shirazi, who is one of the Maraja in Iran at the moment. But he has a tafsir which is very basic. It gives you the main points that you would want to pick up, the relevant narrations, and a basic explanation. I understand it. Obviously, it's written in Farsi, it's been translated to Arabic, and I do believe that there are some translations of the tafsir in English. But if you didn't find that, go for the basic tafsir. There's also another tafsir called Tafsir Shubbar. And there's also some other tafsir which are older versions from like previous scholars. So I strongly recommend that, even though Tafsir al-Mizan is very widely known and very widely by Allama Tabatabai rahmatullah alayhi, one of the greatest mufassirin of our time, but it may be a tafsir which is more specialized and it requires a level of expertise. Let's go for some basic tafsir because that will help us develop our contemplation and understanding and tadabbur and tafakkur fi ayatillah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is a great achievement if we can. If we understand on a weekly basis, if we make that as our achievement or our objective, which is on a weekly basis, we develop a reasonable understanding of one ayah of the Holy Quran. In a year time, that's 52 ayah. In 10 years, that's 520 ayat. If anyone knows the full or a reasonable understanding of 500 ayat, well, you can imagine what a fantastic life you will have, because your life would be guided by those principles that you would have picked up and the in-depth knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would enlighten your heart with. And that is the tip for today, inshallah. Inshallah, we all benefit from this. And I encourage myself and all my brothers and sisters to do that. Contemplation, tadabbur, tafakkur, and spending some time to understand the ayat of the Holy Quran. And now, inshallah, we will listen to our dear participants reciting the Quran. Who would like to go next? Or first, in fact?
Assalamu alaikum. I can begin.
Go ahead.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الذين آتيناهم الكتاب يعرفونه كما يعرفون أبناءهم وإن فريقا منهم ليكتمون الحق وهم يعلمون. الحق من ربك فلا تكونن من الممترين. ولكل وجهة هو موليها فاستبقوا الخيرات أينما تكونوا يأتي بكم الله جميعا إن الله على كل شيء قدير. ومن حيث خرجت فولي وجهك شطر المسجد الحرام وإنه للحق من ربك وما الله بغافل عما تعملون. صدق الله العلي العظيم.
أحسنت. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Very good recitation. It looks like you've prepared well, and that's fantastic. Inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would grant you all success. One thing I would strongly recommend that you watch out for your te. There is, because of where we live here in the UK, we mix the T with the S. So it sounds like ta'malun. Okay, and we want to avoid that. Ta'malun. من حيث خرجت, not خرجت. Little difference, but من حيث خرجت. Thank you. Who's next?
I'll go next, inshallah, Sayyidina.
Yes, please.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ومن حيث خرجت فول وجهك شطر المسجد الحرام وحيث ما كنتم فولوا وجوهكم شطره لئلا يكون للناس عليكم حجة إلا الذين ظلموا منهم فلا تخشوهم واخشوني ولأتم نعمتي عليكم ولعلكم تهتدون. كما أرسلنا فيكم رسولا منكم يتلو عليكم آياتنا ويزكيكم ويعلمكم الكتاب والحكمة ويعلمكم ما لم تكونوا تعلمون. فاذكروني أذكركم واشكروا لي ولا تكفرون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا استعينوا بالصبر والصلاة إن الله مع الصابرين. صدق الله العلي العظيم.
أحسنت. ما شاء الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Beautiful recitation. أحسنت. Very good. I would say be careful of the ke. Ke should not have qalqala. We mentioned yesterday briefly حروف القلقلة, which is قاف طاء با جيم دال, and this is why we say قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد اقترب للناس اقترب. This is qalqala. Kaf, however, does not have this quality. So this is why we should not say أعوذ بالله من الشيطان ولا تكفرون ولا تكفرون. Control it. The other thing is لئلا يكون للناس. You know how noon has a shadda? Let's give it some more emphasis. Okay? Just a little bit more emphasis. لئلا يكون للناس عليكم حجة إلا. Okay? But overall, very good recitation. أحسنت يا أسر. Thank you. Who would like to go next, please?
السلام عليكم.
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ولا تقولوا لمن يقتل في سبيل الله أموات بل أحياء ولكن لا تشعرون. ولنبلونكم بشيء من الخوف والجوع وبشر الصابرين.
There seems to be a little bit of an issue with your connection. I'll let Mustafa read if you don't mind, and then we can try to come back to you if the connection improves. Because I'm sorry, I'm finding it difficult to understand your recitation. Sorry, it's very glitchy. Sorry. Mustafa.
No problem.
Alaikum salam.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولا تقولوا لمن يقتل في سبيل الله أموات بل أحياء ولكن لا تشعرون ولنبلونكم بشيء من الخوف والجوع ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات وبشر الصابرين الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون أولئك عليهم صلوات من ربهم ورحمة أولئك عليهم صلوات من ربهم ورحمة وأولئك هم المهتدون إن الصفا والمروة من شعائر الله فمن حج البيت أو اعتمر فلا جناح عليه أن يطوف بهما ومن تطوع خيرا فإن الله شاكر عليم صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Ahsant, good recitation. I would say, and this is something that, again, useful to everyone, even for the experienced reciters, but of course more so for those who are still developing their skills, which is before you read the ayah, before you recite the ayah, allow your eyes to have 1 or 2 seconds, a glance over the ayah, because that will help you do 2 things. One is you'll kind of give your brain a bit of a head start in terms of what you're going to read. So your brain will very quickly, and it's amazing, the human brain, how it functions. So your brain will pick up the words, but also it will help you identify, how much breath do I need to take and where am I going to stop appropriately so that I don't do these emergency stops on the hard shoulder of the recitation road. Okay, we want to make sure that the recitation is fluent and simple and smooth, and in order to do that, I strongly recommend that you glance over the ayah before you read it. Of course, this will add 1 second, but inshallah it will add a huge amount of comfort and also capability in your ability to read, inshallah. So sorry, Mahdi, we could not really listen to your recitation, inshallah. We'll try tomorrow if the connection is better, so that we can have a better listening to your recitation. But I would like to thank all of you brothers for your participation. Very good preparation. Inshallah, for our dear viewers, brothers and sisters, inshallah, tomorrow we'll be reciting from the beginning of the juz'u. And as you've noticed now, what we are trying to do is that we read the beginning of the relevant juz'u of the day of the holy month of Ramadan. And inshallah, we count on you that you follow the juz'u on your own time, inshallah. Of course, if you've got any questions, then please do use the social media, the Ahlul Bayt TV social media, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube or any other means to contact us. If you've got any questions, then obviously we will be happy to try to respond to those questions. I ask you, inshallah, to remember me in your dua and remember all the believers, inshallah, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the opportunity to be those servants of the Holy Quran and of the path of Ahlul Bayt, inshallah, and that in the month of the holy month of Ramadan, the month of Quran and the month of mercy and the month of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is that we are granted the most and the best of experience and success in recitation of the Holy Quran.